अभी आपको ले चलते हैं वज़ीर ख़ज़ाना शौकत तरीन इस वक्त तकरीब से खिताब कर रहे हैं।
So I want to just thank the leadership and everybody who is on the other side for inviting me. Now I just presented the budget for 2021-22 last Friday. And probably it was not very great environment with a lot of shouting and desk thumping. But nevertheless, I think we did present a budget which obviously is trying to increase growth. It's a growth-oriented budget because we all know what has happened in 2018 and what kind of issues PTI government was facing. I don't want to repeat them, but just to recall few of them, the government was actually facing a $20 billion current account deficit. We had run short of dollars, and the estimate was that probably if we don't do anything very quickly, we probably go bankrupt. So, government tried its level best through some bilateral arrangements and deferred oil facility, but at the end it had to go to the IMF. Now, IMF this time around, very different from when I went to IMF in 2008, because as you recall, the crisis in 2008 was as severe as this, where we were having a current account deficit of $2.5 billion a month. And this and oil prices had touched $144 a barrel. So this crisis is probably as severe, if not more. But this time, IMF was not very friendly in a sense that they wanted to help us like they help everybody else. But the conditionalities were front-loaded. They were severe. They were severe because they wanted our economy to cool down. It was growing at 5.5 plus, and they wanted to cool down the economy so that the imports go down, so that the requirement of dollars actually goes down. So that happened, and the same program were in discount rate went up to 13.25%, and that was pretty steep because your core inflation then was around 7%. So usually core inflation is attacked. This time headline inflation was attacked. Then the rupee, which had been pegged, at a certain level, which anywhere it was pegged between 96 rupees and 104, 105 rupees, was devalued because that's what was needed for us to reduce the imports and increase the exports. So what that did was these two things, and plus we increased the tariffs on energy, and whether kind of power, we increased tariffs on gas. We of course with the devaluation, our foreign debt, which is $95 billion, in rupee terms went up. So our debt went up, and because of the discount rate, our debt payments went up from 1,500 billion rupees to almost 3,000 billion rupees. So all this thing happened, and that meant that the cooling down became effective during that period, that was 18-19, and the economy grew by around 2.1%. As we were getting out of this, and Prime Minister must be given full credit, he started the housing, housing mortgages, construction packages. He gave incentive to agriculture. He gave incentive to the export sector. As they were recovering and the economy was going to recover, and suddenly we had COVID. And COVID actually shut everything down. And that really affected us badly. And we went into a negative territory in terms of the economy. And we were negative 0.5%, in 1920. So while this was happening, the rest of the world was actually, they were in a tailspin. But our tailspin didn't, go that deep, because our Prime Minister handled it very well. He went after smart lockdowns. He did not close businesses altogether except a few weeks. And that helped, because when the lockdown started, COVID started, almost 20 million people went out of job. Total jobs were basically 56, 57 million. 20 million jobs went away. People became unemployed. But with these circumstances, these actions which I think Prime Minister did and took, I think we recovered almost every job except 2.5 million by October 2020. And all those things which we did, despite the second and the third COVID, attacks, the economy in a nutshell grew by 3.94 or 4% by March of this year, based on a 2.77% increase in agriculture, around 3.5% increase, 3.6% increase in manufacturing, and around 4.4% increase in services. So this was a surprise also. The government, when they just announced the budget 2020 and 2021, their targets were 2.1%. IMF, World Bank, and even the State Bank of Pakistan, they were a little conservative. But State Bank of Pakistan later on said the economy will grow 3%, and actually it came out at around 4%. So this is where I have come in. So what do I think, and what have I done, and with the help of everybody else around me? He said that basically we need growth now. We need to just start or rather accelerate the wheels of the economy, because what we want is employment. We want income levels to go up. We want all this will help the population of Pakistan to cope with COVID more effectively, and frankly with the price rise and employment. So we said growth, but we said we will have growth which will be inclusive, sustainable, and for a long period of time. So growth and inclusivity we brought in this budget. Sustainability will take time, which means when I talk about sustainability, I'm not talking about 4, 5, 6 years, what has been our trend. When I talk about sustainability, it should be 20, 30 years. And we had a group of people, Economic Advisory Council, there are 22, sectors which they are looking at. One of them was overall economy, where I had, tasked, requested Dr. Shaukat Tareen and other economists to figure out why the hell do we actually, why is there a boom or bust? 4 or 5 years of boom and then bust. And they obviously came up, with the, analysis we all knew, but I thought that it would be better that if we just get the experts to tell us. And the experts always they told us that, you have to have high savings rate, investment rates, and that will help, to have a sustainability. But more importantly, you also need to generate dollars, which means your exports must go up at 8% of GDP. They are not good enough. I mean, your imports are much higher. So imports are, at almost at this stage 20% of your GDP. So the 12% gap is what kills us. So that obviously then we just factored in, and so we said, okay, growth, inclusive growth, and sustainable growth, we will take steps now. So what did we do? First we said that we have to increase our revenues. If we don't increase our revenues and they stuck at around 10.5%, that's not good enough. We have to take the revenues up to 20% in the next 7 years. I used to, during my NFC, in 2010, we had decided that there will be 1% growth in tax to GDP every year, and in 9 to 10 years, we'll probably be at 19 to 20%. This time around now, I believe that I think we have to accelerate that. So we have to go to 20% within 7 years, and that would mean that, we have to have very aggressive posture towards what FDR does and how we collect our taxes. Then what we said that, as I said, that we want to have inclusive growth. So this time we said that we are not going to wait for the trickle-down effect. The trickle-down effect has not affected our poor classes or bottom income because it is not sustainable. It in 3 to 4 years, 5 years, it basically stops and is truncated, and that means that people who just go to the next edge, they come back again. So we basically said what we will do is we'll not only wait for the trickle-down effect, we are going to go bottoms up. So now what this budget includes, that there is a Kamyab Pakistan program whereby the bottom 4 million people, we are going to give a house loans which is subsidized. We'll give farmers 150 rupees per crop twice a year, which means they get 300,000 rupees of help. 200,000 for their implements. They can, kind of lease in like tractors, thrashers, levelers, whatever. And that means, they can increase their production. But these loans will be interest-free. Then for the urbanite, we will, for every household, we'll give, around 500,000 rupees to do their own business and actually complement, their income. Again, interest-free. So the fourth thing what we will do is for each household, we'll basically give them a health card so that their health, issues are covered. Fifth thing is for every household, we'll try to give, 1% skill development training. Now, this is a comprehensive plan. Nobody has ever done it before. I think they've already, and how could we do it? And where others who could not do it? Because everybody else, including me when I came here in the People's Party government, we're all depending on the banks to go and just give these loans, whether they're agriculture loans or they're all, other loans like, kind of housing loans, etc. But banks do not have the ability to give small loans. It is not in their DNA. They've been making good money while just putting money in government paper. So they have not been able. And so after trying for 1.5 years, if you see what the NAFTA, housing projects are many. But I think we haven't even seen disbursal of more than 2.5 to 3 billion rupees. So a lot can be done over there. And similarly, agriculture loans are not going anywhere. So what we are, and this Kamyab Jawan program, only 8,500 people who have actually got loans. So what we decided, and frankly, because I've been in consumer banking as well, and other colleagues who have been with me, helping me, we said, let's, just try to, turn the paradigm upside down, which means the large or, the commercial banks will wholesale credit and it will be distributed by NGOs like Akur, like NRSP, like, the non-banking financial institution. And, then we realized that they've been doing for 20 years. Their recovery rates are 99%, 98%, 99%. So they've been doing for 20 years. The only thing is we just forgot to use them. So now we will use them. We will ask National Bank, Habib Bank, other banks to wholesale. And that credit going to these things will be guaranteed by Pakistan, the government of Pakistan. So they wholesale at a certain price, which will be, obviously agreed between us and them. But it should be profitable for them. Otherwise, why the hell should they lend? And then these micro, banks financial institutions and, NGOs will go and distribute credit. They will be the people who will distribute credit and give it to the people, the farming community, the low end in the urban areas, housing. So all this will be done by them. And now we are talking about huge amounts of money. I'm not talking about 50
कोरोना के बावजूद हमारी मईशत में बेहतरी आई। माशी इस्लाहात की बेहतरी का क्रेडिट वजीर आजम को जाता है, कह रहे थे वफाकी वजीर खजाना शौकत तरीन, जो पोस्ट बजट वेबिनार से खिताब कर रहे हैं।